This week, we kick off our 2025 Countdown to Fall Color with Yooper Steve. You are listening to the LAKESCAPE Photography Podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of the LAKESCAPE Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Albert. This week, we are joined by Steve Germu, widely known as Yooper Steve, as we kick off our 2025 Countdown to Fall Color. Yes, it is August and summer's not completely over yet, but the goal is to get you ready for fall color here in a couple months and prepare you with the tools, knowledge, and experience necessary to make the most out of any fall color adventure you might choose to enjoy this season. To kick this off, Steve joins us to discuss the annual Fall Color Report, an excellent resource for anyone looking to enjoy fall color in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. From east to west, north to south, and everywhere in between, Steve reports on the fall color annually through peak colors. This report is a resource that I've used for many years. It's proven invaluable time and time again, and it just so happens that the first report is going live later today, August 5th. Make sure you check out the links in the show notes below so that you can sign up and check out the first report of this year as you enjoy the first episode of our 2025 Fall Color Countdown, and our first on-location episode as Steve is joining us from his beautiful property in the heart of the Upper Peninsula.
Hi, I'm Steve Germu. I go by Yooper Steve online and do a lot of stuff in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, showing people the beauty of the UP. Do photographs, videos, and fall color reports and winter reports, things like that. But coming soon is the Fall Color Report, August 5th. So that's an annual thing for the last 12 years that I provide people so they can make an informed decision on when to visit the Upper Peninsula, various places across the UP, how the color's changing.
Yeah, and the last episode that we did together, we briefly touched on it. And for those of you listening that may have missed that one, it was earlier in the year. We talked about getting out there, being safe in the backcountry, and just how to get out there and explore on your own. But as Steve and I were talking right before we started recording the episode, it kicks off the fall season for me every year, getting that first fall color report in my inbox. Just awesome. I mean, how many miles do you typically drive every year to do this report?
I think last year I might have put on 6,500 miles or so during the weekly report. So that's driving, a few times a week, sometimes 3, 4, 5, days a week through probably, I think last year might have been 10, 11 weeks of fall color report. So that's during that period of time. That's about how many miles I put on. I think one year, the year prior or the year prior to that, I might have put on almost 9,000 miles in about 10 weeks time. You got to drive to get the most accurate information from the trees that you can. So
yeah, I mean, it's super beneficial for me when I'm planning my trips and countless other people when they're planning their trips, like you mentioned. And you really cover everything from the east to the west and all the way north up into Copper Harbor. Is there any place up there that you really think just like jumps out, stands out as like the epitome, the definition of fall color in the Upper Peninsula?
Well, especially like when you're really looking through the UP as a color destination, I think the majority of really good colors and wider range of areas that you can cover if you're a photographer or if you just love leaf peeping, where you can get a longer period of time where you can have peak color and then some before peak color that you cannot, you're gonna come up and see color. I think that's the Western Upper Peninsula, Michigan. One is because of the concentration of hardwoods. like your soft maple and your hard maple, and then you got your oak and you got your birch and poplar trees that are changing, and then all the other plants that give off color change that lose their chlorophyll as well. So the UP as a whole gets really good color, but I would say the Western UP from areas of Marquette all the way over to Ironwood and up into the Keweenaw, up towards Copper Harbor is probably your best bet, and into the Porkies, Ironwood, Porkies, and all that.
Yeah, that's where I've always found really good color myself, is in that stretch of area, that stretch of land between Marquette and the far western UP. And my first couple times going up there, I was actually really surprised, kind of caught off guard, if you will. And I think it's something that maybe a lot of people might not know, but I know we briefly discussed it in the past as well, where like those inland lakes or regions where they kind of have their own biome, the Porcupine Mountains specifically comes to mind, that can actually be a week or so behind everything else around it just because of its proximity to the lake and everything. Is that right?
Yeah, like lakeshore areas, and even the Porkies has its own little microclimates as well, and a lot of people when they think of Porkies, they're thinking about Lake of the Clouds. Like 95% of people when they hear of Porcupine Mountains, that's where they're going, and and on its beauty there, just at Lake of the Clouds. I mean, that's the number one attraction that way. I'd say say west of Houghton and Hancock, going that way, I would say Lake of the Clouds is probably the number one destination. But within that area there, I mean, you've got even spots when you're getting into the Porkies are going to be different. The color change is going to be a little bit different, and as you go up into elevation up to Lake of the Clouds, it's going to be different. And then when you're looking down into the valley there and down the cliff faces and stuff, you're going to notice how the color changes. It's going to be more of a yellow tint in some spots, and then it's going to be a little bit more orangey in areas. So it just depends on how close it is to the lake, and it's got the basin there where Lake of the Clouds sits. And so within Lake of the Clouds, there's differences in color, and when you go more interior in the Porkies, there's more color as you get more deeper into the areas of the south boundary road towards Summit Peak and over towards Presque Isle. So I tend to find that the area of Summit Peak area, once you start getting past Nonesuch mine turn, like the corner, like the curve on Nonesuch mine and interior towards Summit Peak, it probably changes probably faster, and there's a lot of nice reds and stuff through there as well. But Summit Peak is got a lot of color that changes before Lake of the Clouds.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself, where when you start at the superior side of South Boundary, you kind of go through a whole bunch of different stages, if you will, of fall color. You can start and it's still mixed. There's some greens, there's some color change, but then by the time you get all the way to the Presque Isle River, you've kind of seen it all. You've seen the color, you've seen the mixture, and it's interesting how that changes. It actually reminds me of last year. Even I got up to the Porcupine Mountains, I believe it was October 5th, and when I went up to the overlook, I looked out over the Lake of the Clouds, and I was like, yeah, there's a little bit of change. There's not a tremendous amount. And the next day, just out of curiosity, I drove over to Canyon Falls by Baraga, and it was just on fire over there. There was so much color, and it's wild how just two destinations an hour apart can be so different.
Yeah. And even closer than that. But yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for color, it's a lot of times people are wanting to wait, especially social media these days. Everybody's waiting to put their pictures. They don't do what I do. They don't travel around the Upper Peninsula and provide a weekly report of the color and provide pictures and videos and kind of this whole analysis of what's happening. So a lot of times people will see like the peak color when everything starts really changing. And if you're waiting for that period of time and you have only one destination in mind, a lot of times you're going to be disappointed because things can happen real quick. Winds can happen, rain can happen. It can get really cold for the few days prior that you saw the pictures. And now that snapped the colors. And now you have that wind and that rain that's happening, and all the color that was on Brockway Mountain or Lake of the Clouds or wherever you're going to view is all knocked off the trees, and you've got like a bland brownish looking view, and you're disappointed. So it's really important to kind of understand the color change through the UP, and plan for a few days to have an adventure. Because if you're just planning for one destination and you only take a day or two to visit up here and see the fall colors, you'll probably be disappointed many times, but you're still going to get some color, no matter what. But, if you're looking for that peak color because of somebody posting a picture online and everybody's starting to post those pictures, a lot of times you're going to be disappointed because, it's been happening already. It's just hit that cold snap.
Right.
And a few more done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I really like about your fall color report is not only are you showing literally the weekly play-by-play of color change, but you're also estimating when you think it may or may not peak based on current weather in your reports. So, if there's a cold front coming or if there's a, storms forecast or what have you, you include that in your report, and you've historically hit it on the head pretty frequently of, well, this area is most likely going to peak within this time frame, but things can change. And I like that you put that disclaimer in there too, that just remember, everybody, things can change. Like you said, cold snap, high winds, heavy rains, any of these things, it could be literally a day and a half of peak color and then poof, it's gone.
Yeah, and that's not to be disappointed by not seeing that those overlook views, are what people really go for. That's when people think of fall colors and they post in their pictures, that's what you see a lot of times here. The views from Lake of the Clouds, the views from Summit Peak or Mission Point out east, or Sugarloaf views or Mount Marquette or up in Brockway Mountain or wherever, people see those pictures. And you might get there and there might be a little bit of color, but not what you were expecting or not what you've seen from a picture. But don't fret. Take some back roads. Take a little time and explore the side roads and stuff. Some of those county roads and whatnot can be really beautiful as well. Ottawa National Forest has a lot of Forest Service roads that are really fun to drive down. And if you don't hit that color at those overlook views that you wanted, take some time and hit the back roads, because that understory starts changing a little bit. And that's going to change after all that the treetop color changes. So those leaves are falling off the trees and that understory is starting to brighten up a little bit. So that takes a little bit longer process. So you can still hit color. You can still hit some good color. And that's some of my best times in the woods and best things are when you're driving down the backwoods and stopping at a little pond or a stream with some beautiful reds there, and nobody else has been down that road for weeks, and all of a sudden you've been down there and you've got a picture that nobody else has, especially if you're a photographer, you want to hit those little spots. If everybody's got the same picture from Lake of the Clouds at the fall color, it's special maybe if you've never been there before, but it's just another picture of fall color at Lake of the Clouds. But you went out and you went down a back road and you got the most beautiful reds in the scene there, and a deer popped up, or maybe there's a moose in the fall popped up in front of your picture, or a loon there or something. Man, you've got a special photograph, and you're going to have a quiet time in nature as well, away from all the crowds, because it does get busy on those overlook views. So what I encourage people to do as well, get in the back roads.
Oh yeah, you can find all kinds of good stuff out there. And I really like that you touched on taking a personalized adventure and not just going to the hot spots, and really exploring and taking it in, because I think that's one of my personal favorite aspects of fall, especially in the Upper Peninsula, is that color change it takes the ordinary and it really does make it extraordinary. You could, like you said, a little pond in the backwoods. It could just be a regular old pond in the summer, probably lots of mosquitoes. You're sitting there going, oh, what am I doing back here? I'm getting eaten alive. But then you go there in the fall and you see an animal or something, or you catch those reflections from the trees, or like you said, the understory, how that's going to change first. You could get a really cool shot of like a sapling with its color changed, surrounded by the much larger trees that are still green. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. You just got to get out there and seek them out. But of course, as you and I and anybody that's explored the UP definitely know, if you're going to do that, make sure you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle on some of these roads. Don't just go anywhere because it can get treacherous.
Yeah, you have to know where you're going, and and that's part of it too. That's kind of scares people from going out and going on the back roads and stuff. Like, what road can I go down? And last one I went down had a private property sign on it, and no, I don't want to go down this one because maybe it's private property or something. So you do have to know where you're going. But if you have friends and stuff that live up here, maybe they'll give you some tips of different places. Maybe they go. Maybe they'll bring you out on a little adventure as well. But it definitely does help to know the area. But if you're sticking on forest roads and stuff that's on your Google Maps, if you're using Google or Apple or whatever, you're going to be safe. You're going to probably have a little bit more memorable time out there because you're hitting the backwoods where not everybody else is at the time. The uniqueness of the forest comes to you once you're out there adventuring. And it's, if you're a photographer or if you just love peeping fall colors, it's nice to get into the backwoods where the other people aren't, or less people, And that's what I like to do. I like to stay away from people. I love the sounds of nature, the birds and the wind blowing through the trees and just that little world that I'm in. It's mine right there. I'm not sharing it with, hundreds of other people on an overlook view somewhere, but if you've never been to the UP, you definitely want to take in those views for sure. But also consider those the back roads or those county roads and Forest Service roads, because you'll have a little bit more memorable experience. I believe. I know you will.
Yeah.
There's not a question about it.
Yeah, you definitely will. I mean, as somebody that's been to all the hot spots, everybody knows I've gone to the Overlook countless times. I've been to Brockway Mountain Drive. I've been all over the place. And like you said, these are all beautiful places. And if you've never been, highly recommend. Incredible places, beautiful views. But I've found that some of my favorite pictures and experiences, really more so than the pictures, have come from just that personalized adventure of what's down this road. I know there's a waterfall in this area. Let me go and search it out. Use the resources available to you. You can find all kinds of information in books and online resources, doing some desktop recon. You can learn all about things, and a lot of even somewhat moderately more remote, we'll say, places like, for instance, Rock River Falls comes to mind. Like, just read the reviews on some of the places that you're trying to go to, because people will generally tell you, like, hey, you need a high clearance 4-wheel drive, or you need to park here and walk this amount of time or distance or what have you to find these places. But they're out there and they're not crowded. They're not filled with 100 other people trying to get the same shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Leaf peeping season is typically a shorter season, and it tends to be a little bit older crowd. It's not necessarily going to be a lot of families. Other than if you're hitting like Michigan Tech, like Parents Week or something, and the colors are still around, maybe you'll get parents and their students to going around. But tends to be people who are on like shorter little adventures. 1, 2, 3 days, maybe 4 days of adventures. So like I said, if you give yourself a little bit more time to enjoy fall colors as you're coming across the UP. If you're coming from downstate Michigan and coming across the bridge, you're going to have a different fall color progress there as you're coming across the UP. So you can hit multiple different stages of fall color and see different places. And I think that's more fun. But a lot of people that come up are shorter kind of adventures. So there's going to be a lot of people at the overlooks, but you just have to, just get out there and enjoy where you're at. Enjoy nature.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, going back to a point you made earlier, like if you want to just come up and you want to try to hit the 2 days of peak color and, you're just tracking everything, color reports, your color report, what the weather is doing, what the news channels are saying, all this stuff, you're kind of limiting yourself in a way, because I've had it myself happen to me a few times up there and just all over the place where everybody says, oh yeah, it's perfect right now, or it's going to be perfect on this day. And you get up there and you're like, well, it's not really what I expected. But if you give yourself, I do minimum 1 week up there every October, because it kind of gives you that buffer to jump between different areas. But definitely do at least 3-4 days, I feel, for an adequate experience of the fall colors up there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key to hitting fall color. I remember one time, I think back in 2010, I was backpacking in the Porkies and it was well past peak, and I was staying up on the escarpment, off the trail there, not on a regular campsite, but that was back before you could camp like that. Now it's all, you have to stay at the actual campsites. But anyway, I was getting back to the overhead, and a guy comes up in his vehicle, and he was asking, how's the colors? I was like, yeah, it's past peak. And he said, yeah, I came up here last time. I think it was probably the middle of October. And he said, yeah, last year was like perfect. It was so colorful, and I wanted to come back. And I came up here and it just didn't look the same. And I said, yep. I said, you can't depend on coming up at the same time every single year. You got a little bit of a buffer zone, but especially that late time of the year. But there are years where it is starting to peak in certain spots that time of year. But you just never know. But that's like you're saying, if you give yourself a good buffer there, and you can generally see some good color, you won't be disappointed.
Oh yeah. That actually reminds me, when I went up to the Overlook in 2018, it was, I want to say October 4th or 5th, and color was just spot on, perfect. Could not ask for anything better. And then I want to say it was either 2019 or 2020, I went up for that same period of time. And when I got there, I looked out over Lake of the Clouds and I was like, it's nothing like what it was. What happened? Did I miss this? Like, how far off am I? And by the end of that week, it was almost perfect. But I've found that the early October, call it between the 4th and the 6th, if you plan a week from that point forward, you're definitely going to see color. It may not be where you're planning. Usually, like we discussed, Lake of the Clouds is a little bit behind. So it might be that second week that it peaks, but you're going to see color everywhere else. So definitely still worth taking the adventure.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people, and the colors too, the anthocyanin that gets into the leaves, that it gets into the leaves, that gives it the reddish, purplish, bluish colors of the forest flowers and the leaves and stuff. That some years that could be really strong, depending on the environment and the weather and the dryness and the cool, how fast things, what it basically, the weather and the coolness factors and how much rain and all kinds of stuff play a part in how prominent the reds are, but that's what everybody wants to see. They love the reds. So the reds some years can go quite a long time. I mean, it might not have been last year, it might have been the year before. We had a pretty good red season where the colors, the red colors stayed on the trees for quite a while. I was really surprised. But then there's other years where you don't see a lot of reds. So I think I've got a deer. I've got a baby deers running around back here with their mama.
They want to be a part of the podcast.
They'll come right behind me. We're in nature. We are in nature out here. Giving you the early report here.
Yeah, the earliest of the reports.
But so everybody wants to hit those reds and those purples and stuff. That's what really everybody loves, including myself. I really love those. But I like the oranges. I like the greens. I like that early color, like between 50 and 70% is it's really nice as well. Because you getting some, it's not all like one red and orange field, it doesn't all blend in. You get some variety there. You get a little texture. You get a little bit of you can kind of show the process of the changes, and if you're in an area and you happen to go back there another time and maybe it's stormy and foggy, another few days later, maybe you can go back to that same spot and get a whole different view with the colors change further and some fog and mist or whatever too. So you can, it's nice to be able to kind of come up a little bit early and have those opportunities to capture earlier color and then into peak color. So, those reds are what everybody wants, but you got to chase it sometime.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, another thing that came to mind was, don't be afraid to shoot a little bit past peak color too, because one thing I've noticed in some of my favorite fall color scenes and in other scenes that I just really, really like from other photographers, when the leaves start to come down and they, line the rocks around waterfalls, or they cover the forest floor in that nice, rich yellow, orange, red combination, it can really transform a landscape and just give a waterfall or a shoreline, whatever, a totally different feel and dynamic than, any other season.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the beauty of living up here and coming up here and visiting and being able to enjoy the 4 seasons of the year, because you can go back to popular places like Bond Falls or Agate Falls, Tequamanon, wherever, Lake of the Clouds, and your favorite backcountry waterfall or shoreline of Lake Superior, and it's always different. You can go back there the next day. Like I said, fog and rain can come in and it's going to provide you a whole different view. But that's one beauty of living up here. There's so much variety and topography, and weather changes quickly, and we have all 4 seasons and stuff. So, that's the beauty of it. You can see the same thing 4 different ways if you want to look at it that way, or 100 different ways. It just depends on your outlook on it, and that's it never gets old to me. I can go back to the same old spots many times, and I always find something different or a different perspective or have a different experience, So
yeah.
That's great about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I absolutely love going back and revisiting places I've been. And, I touched on it a few episodes ago where, you sometimes take a step back from a place that you love and go and check out another place, same region, same general vicinity, whatever it might be. And you can learn new things about the same place, just in a different area. And then when you come back, you apply those new learnings to the area you've been to. And it's like this constant cycle of experience, learn, apply. And as you go through it, especially across all the seasons, you start learning so much about just the area, the personality of these places, and as a photographer, how you can capitalize on the different changes that these places go through.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the high water level and low water level with, fall colors, leaves falling on the trees, and a little bit of light snow with the fall colors, and there's so many different angles you can take, and that's just the beauty of it. There's so many places to explore, so much to see, and a lot of people go by, the brochures or what somebody says on Facebook. That's their adventure. Everybody wants something super easy. Give me the coordinates. Let me know where it's at, instead of getting out there and leaving yourself a little time, and leaving your it open to explore, and just allowing yourself to slow down a little bit in life. I think that's what fall's about. It goes so fast that it can be overwhelming. But if you slow down a little bit and you enjoy the fall color, you're just not like going and snapping a picture, or I got to go up and get a selfie on top of Brockway Mountain, and then you're heading out somewhere and you didn't even really see that eagle that was flying over there, and whatnot as well while you were there. You're just like, selfie, bye bye, goodbye, and you didn't even explore and have fun. It was just, got my selfie, I got my picture, I could share that on social media, say I was there. Slow down a bit. You'll see things that you wouldn't see normally, and a different angle or something.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I mean, getting out there and just slowing down, taking it all in. I mean, I've spent 2-3 hours at a waterfall just sitting and enjoying it. Bring lunch, sit there and just listen to the birds chirp, listen to the wind in the trees. I guess my big thing is, don't have an agenda. Don't tell yourself, well, I got to be here at 9 a.m. and there at 11 a.m. and then I got to go eat lunch, and then I got to be here at 2 p.m. and there at 4 p.m. Just go with the flow. It's so much more relaxing. And as a photographer, when I don't feel like that pressure of, I've got to be all these places at once, it gets you into that creative flow, and you roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just allow yourself to that creativity to come around to you. If you have an itinerary, a lot of times you don't hit your itinerary. This isn't being in nature and being a photographer, being a creative person. Creativity comes from allowing things to come to you, that process to arrive, not necessarily you saying, like a checkbox, like it's like a shopping list. I'm going to do this. I got to get this. I got to get milk. I got to get cheese. I got to get this. If you approach being in nature like that, then what good is it? You're not going to have as much fun. Just allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself to just relax and enjoy it. I think that's the biggest part of it. Fall colors is a special season, and if you are approaching it as a checklist, like you're going to the grocery store, then you might as well, stay wherever you're at. Don't come see the most beautiful fall colors in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, if you're approaching it like an itinerary shopping list. Leave it open to exploration a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how I've found some of my favorite experiences and moments out there. And, it's the experience as a whole, and taking the time to really digest it and allow it to kind of shape everything about your experience and your time. I love getting up early in the morning, walking out to the shoreline for sunrise. You have a nice hot cup of coffee. You've got a sweater on or whatever, that brisk, cool air just blowing off the lake, rustling the leaves. It's just so calming, and it's as much a part of the experience as seeing the colors themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. The experience, just having fun, and that's a beautiful thing about now social media. You can kind of plan these things a little bit, and kind of get an idea, and it's nice that if you're seeing pictures and stuff coming online, that you can kind of see and kind of make a little bit of plans and stuff and say, hey, okay, I want to hit Brockway, or I want to hit that one little lake that I was at last year, because the color near there where I was at just the other day was changing, and so it's kind of nice where you can kind of plan what you want to do through the day, but not saying I have to get those places, but you have many options. I think that's good. Just the experience is part of it. Being in nature.
And one thing to note about social media that I made a mental note to make sure I mentioned on this episode. One thing that I've done throughout the years has been to search hashtags on Instagram or get on Facebook and look for these places to get an idea of the color change. And sometimes that is efficient and effective. But I know myself personally, I'll start posting fall color pictures in September, and they're from seasons past. So what you're seeing on social media might not be an accurate representation of what's actually happening out there. And that's where reports like Steve's fall color report become very important, because you could be looking at Lake of the Clouds at peak color and then drive up there and it's still green with some spotty color, because the picture that you saw, well, it was taken 3 years ago at 2 weeks later into October.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, I'm noticing now a lot of like AI images, and a lot of these random pages that are posting stuff from like hotspots of like Lake of the Clouds, Pictured Rocks, Brockway Mountain, Marquette, just, and that's all across the country. So you've got all these different pages that are trying to provide images, and you don't necessarily know if they're real images. For one, if you've never been up to Lake of the Clouds, do you really remember what Lake of the Clouds looks like? So somebody might have a picture and say it's Lake of the Clouds and have it from AI'd it and made it look like fall colors because they want some clicks on their website. But in all reality, there's no post online showing fall colors near peak at Lake of the Clouds or wherever. It's just because somebody made an AI page or post, like you said, posted something from years ago and never put a date on it. That happens quite a bit. This is what it looked like, 3 years ago. This is Lake of the Clouds view, peak color, and or a lot of people don't really read. I mean, you understand that a lot of people just like look at stuff. They don't really read the captions. So that happens a lot too. You just see a picture and you're just like, oh yeah, that's Lake of the Clouds. Oh my gosh, it's changing so fast. I better get up there. And then, you get there and it's like, what? And then good luck trying to find that post unless you had it bookmarked.
Right. That's something I started doing last year. Actually, was I started adding in the caption of some of my posts, like, this was taken on, such and such date of such and such year. This is not current color, because there was a bunch of people that would comment on the photo or, send you a message or whatever. Hey, is that what it looks like right now? I'm trying to plan a trip. And, they're like we talked about earlier, there's tons of resources out there, but you have to be careful as to what resource you're using. And, again, tying it back into, the fall colors report, that's the resource that I've used the most through the last few years. And I've found it extremely beneficial, because if I get up to Lake of the Clouds and, the report say it came out on Tuesday and I get there on Friday, report says, okay, well, it should be peaking in the next week. I know, okay, it's going to have good color, but it's not going to be perfect. But then in the same report, you say, okay, well, over here, like 70 to 80% peak, I know I should go over there and check out that region because I'm going to get that color.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I do the reports. I did it, much like my winter stuff. I wanted to kind of help inform people, and that's why I do it. And I just love I like driving around in the woods and going exploring things and flying my drone and taking pictures myself. So a lot of opportunities for myself out there as I'm doing this as well. But I wouldn't drive that many miles if it was just for myself.
Right. Right.
I wouldn't put 9,000 miles on the vehicle.
9,000 miles.
If it wasn't for providing something for somebody. So it takes a lot of gas money. It takes a lot of time. And I don't have every single detail. I can't cover every square inch of the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I have no idea. Some places I've never been to in the UP. There's a lot of places like that, but I try to cover the major areas that people are going to go to and some of the places that people don't really think about. I can't possibly cover every road in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So I try to go to some new places, new roads, new back places that I haven't been before to kind of understand how that ties into previous years and according to kind of what's happening currently. So I can kind of build an algorithm in my brain, I guess, of kind of what's happening or what to expect based on weather and past experiences and what's currently going on. So I it's not perfect. I mean, I get every single year it seems like somebody's online. It's 25-30% or maybe even 50% color that I estimate. And granted, it's not exactly 50% sometimes from mile to mile, but there's always people online who say it's only 10% where I'm at. And it's like, they're not analyzing the color like I do. They're looking at fall color as being peak, all the trees are changed. And, and that's how most people are looking at fall color. I try to see the hues in the leaves, the colors of the greens changing, the green hues themselves, not only going from greens to reds and oranges, and the percentages there, but the percentages of the green change and the yellow hues developing. That's what I'm looking for in those early times to allow me to have an understanding of kind of what's happening along with those weather changes. And it's not a perfect science. Fall color is not a perfect science. Even the foresters and people, the biologists, there's still a lot to learn about fall color change and all the environmental changes and things we still have to learn. It's not a perfect science, and I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect for sure, but I do the best I can, and I don't think there's anybody else that's providing a fall color report like I do. And if there is, I'd like to see it. And I welcome somebody else to do one. Maybe if somebody did one in the Eastern UP, I wouldn't have to drive as far. So
save some
I
miles.
could concentrate on the Western UP, and somebody could do that in the Eastern UP. But I love being outside. I love helping people, and I love fall just as much as everybody else that's watching or listening, I should say. And I hope everybody can get out there and see some beautiful fall colors, because I think the UP probably takes the cake of fall color change through the entire United States. People in Vermont or New Hampshire might, or upstate New York might have some. There might be fighting words to those people out there, but I think if they were to come out here, I think they would probably agree that with the scenery, Lake Superior, all the lakes, rivers, the overlook views, I think just the people up here are a big part of just the beauty of the UP as well. So I think the whole environment as a whole, I think the Upper Peninsula takes the cake for fall color.
I 100% agree. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because earlier in the year, I had actually planned to shift my fall colors trip from the Upper Peninsula being the main thing I was doing. I was going to actually go out west to Colorado, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to check out the colors again out there. And as I sat there and I thought on it, I was just like, no, I can't walk away from the UP. Like, that's just, it's too much. It's too much of a sacrifice. And I ended up changing I have the same dates, but now instead of going out west, I'm staying right here in the Great Lakes and gonna spend some time in the Upper Peninsula and just take it all in. Like you said, the different types of hardwoods and the different colors you get and the variation. It's I mean, it's literally the definition of perfect place for fall color.
Yeah, I mean, we often win the what the USA Today has the 10 best. They do that, the 10 best fall color destinations in the country, in the UP. I think I don't know if last year we might have won it. I mean, it goes on votes, so whoever puts in the most votes, of course. But I mean, that just shows you that people believe the UP is a great place to see fall colors, and I think people who come up here during fall, once you experience it after a few years, seeing fall color up here, I think you would be happy. I think you would say, yeah, this is a beautiful place for fall color, and you got all the other stuff to explore too. There's waterfalls, there's mine ruins and mine tours you can go on, and there's we have good places to eat. We've got pasties to eat. If you never had a pasty, you got to have a pasty. That's for sure. So there's a lot more than just fall colors up here too, and it's a little slower pace, I think, in the fall. So it's a good time to come up here and visit, because it's beautiful and just a great experience as well. So
I mean, the UP is just a playground for anyone that loves the outdoors, loves photography, loves fall color. And I cannot state it enough that your fall color report is extremely helpful when it comes to figuring out, hey, where should I be? Where should I go if I want to see color? Your report has guided me for years, and I think I've done okay with it. So, I appreciate the effort that you put into it, man.
yeah, that's my main reason I do it, just to be helpful for people to. And I started early. I mean, people say there's no fall color, or that tree has had too much water, it's flooding there, or whatever, and this and that, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's a point, but that tree, if it was flooded in the beginning of June, would not have that color change to it. It's because of the beginning of the season of fall. And granted, it's not fall, quote fall, but that's an indication of what's to come. That tree is changing. It's stressed out. It's had a lot of water. It's changing. It's sensing there's an environmental change there, to let it know that I have to slow down my chlorophyll production. I have to save myself. Basically, that's what the tree is trying to do. It's trying to save itself. And that's what fall color changes. It's stressing out. Like when you stress out your body, you go into shock. Your body is trying to save itself. It's using all the energy for your vital organs. And that's what a tree is doing at that time. It's stressed out because of the flooding. It's stressed out because of maybe there's a lot of pollution or something in the neighborhood that you live in. The changes are an indication of what's to come. And that's the beauty of the early fall color report, because you can it gets you excited, like, yeah, I have something to look forward to, because everybody's had their vacations and you've done this and that, and you went to Disney World or you went to Fiji, wherever, and you had fun with the family or friends or husband or wife or whatever. And this is another period of time to look forward to, and the trees are letting you know that time is coming, and to be aware. Be aware, things are changing, and we're just waiting for those cold evenings, those cool evenings. I should say cool evenings, not super cold. But you want those darker days, the cloud cover. You want a little bit of sunlight. You have to have a little bit of sunlight during those days. So you want 60, 65, low 70s are good, and then you want those cool evenings, and that's going to start that change to really happen. And the more succession you have of those days in a row like that, the better it is and the more predictable it is. But if you have some cool days that, for 2 or 3 days, then it might tell those trees to start slowing that chlorophyll production down, but you're only getting the little bit of early color. So it's not quite getting to the hues of the yellows and stuff, but it's that tree said, I'm there, but then it gets warmer. And then all of a sudden it starts to reverse itself because it hasn't gone into a stage where it's beyond. It's like jumping off the bridge into the water. You already left the bridge. Your hands, you have no point of contact off the bridge. And that's what like fall color change. You get at a certain point, it'll still continue on even with those warmer days and a little bit more rain and stuff. You get to that certain point, but there is a spot time period in there where it actually can reverse too. I've seen that. A couple of years ago was like that, where you had some like really good yellow starting on some maples and stuff, and then we had some rain and it got a little bit warmer, more mild temperatures, and I was like, something's a little different here, and it was because it was getting a little bit more green again. It's because the tree was sensing that, oh, there's sunlight and it's warm. I need to keep producing chlorophyll. I need to change those sugars in that sunlight. I need to have these reactions to put more chlorophyll into my leaves. So there's a lot to it, but that's what I love, helping people learn that stuff. And I don't know it all, that's for sure. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, or anything like that. I'm not a forester. I'm not any of that stuff. I just love nature, and I just love just being outside, I guess. The passion, the passion for the outdoors is there.
Don't have to be a scientist or perfect, but that resource, it is tremendously helpful. And I'm going to make sure to include that in the links in the show notes so that everybody can get out there. This episode is actually releasing on the same day as Steve's first 2025 weekly color update. And the links to everything are in the show notes, as I mentioned. So you guys can go check it out. But if you want to get up there, plan out a fall color adventure and see this beauty that we've talked about throughout this episode, definitely highly recommend getting in there, checking out the color report. And Steve even does tours up there, so he can get you to some of those really cool back roads, off the beaten path places. If you don't have the vehicle to do so, or if you just don't feel confident in your ability to do it, Steve can get you there.
Yeah, and I'm a photographer, and I've photographed a lot of the places I go many times, and having somebody that knows how the colors are changing and where to go, how to get there, how much time to spend at spots, the great angles for photography. I lead photography, tours with people. I help people get the good shots and get to those places where not everybody else is. That's, I think, really important to have a few shots in there that nobody else has. I think that's more fun, and being away from the crowds and the peacefulness of nature and the birds and just the sounds of water, and being able to just sit back and relax, getting a little bit of relief from the stresses of life, the city, the hustle and bustle of life, our daily activities. I think it's nice to kind of be in the woods and listening to the birds and listening to the waterfall and just enjoying the sights and the sounds of nature. I think that's super healing, super beneficial to every single human on earth. And that's why I do my tours and I provide these reports and stuff, because I want to help bring awareness to those opportunities that are out there for people. My tours aren't for everybody. They're not for every single person. There's people who just love to go explore for themselves, but my tours are for those people who want a special experience, for those special places that nobody else really gets a chance to go to. Not saying nobody's ever been to these places, because some of them they have, but I know a lot of spots where not a lot of people have ever really seen, other than maybe some miners or loggers or just some random local maybe just stumbled upon these places. But so yeah, I provide tours there for the people who don't want to wreck their vehicle or don't want to have to make an itinerary. They can just come along, and I'm going to show them some cool places, and that's what the tours are about. And I have fun whether or not I do any tours in the fall. Just allows me to have more photography time for myself. It's a win-win either way, but I do love the smiles and the joy of that people get from being outside and saying, yeah, this is a great experience.
Oh yeah.
That's what ultimately, like, otherwise I wouldn't do the tours either.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and the pictures that you share on your social media and in your fall color reports, everything. I mean, very cool places, really cool finds. I know you're working your way up to 1,000 UP waterfalls. How close are you from the last episode?
I think up to this point this year in 2025, I think I'm up about 100 new waterfalls, about 125 new waterfalls this year. And I have taken a break kind of with tours and just the low water flows and stuff on some of these creeks and things, but I'm going to start getting back into it. I'm probably at around, I want to say maybe 900 or so, probably around 900 waterfalls in the UP. And I know there's over 1,000 for sure. But I'm just kind of shooting for 1,000. That's kind of kind of a good number, a fun number, I guess, and kind of a jaw dropper to some people. Might say 1,000 waterfalls, because I mean I've seen the UP Travel or Pure Michigan or whatever or whatnot talking about waterfalls, or maybe their friend said, yeah, we have 150 falls, and no, there's a lot of waterfalls that people don't know about. There's a lot of forest up here. There's a lot of ravines, a lot of creeks, a lot of gorges, and there's a lot of streams and rivers that not a lot of people get to, just because they're hard to get to, a lot of these places. So and some places aren't super hard. I mean, I've found places that are close to places I've explored for many years, and I just never went another 150, 200, 100 yards or 1,000 feet from where I was, and the day I found it, that's when I did. So, but yeah, I love waterfalls, fall colors and waterfalls, two of my favorite things in life.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I love them just the same. Getting out there, exploring, checking these places out, and just having that experience in nature. Like you said, just get out there and take it in. It's good for your soul. It rejuvenates. It makes you feel alive. And I mean, really, what more can you ask for?
It's a good time. And also on my fall color report, it's important for people to be aware that it is free. I do the reports as you can sign up with your email. That's all it takes, is sign up with your email. It's cool if you put your name in there as well when you sign up. It's through Substack. A lot of people are getting more familiar with Substack. It's a good writing platform for journalists and people who just like to write or provide data and things like that for people. But it is free initially. I do release the reports on a delayed basis on my website, funintheup.com. So you can get the reports for free if you follow funintheup.com, but they're going to be delayed. It's because I have people that do support it by financial subscription, which allows me to put gas in the gas tank and drive to those places, and once in a while get some food and something to drink while I'm out there exploring as well. And helps, I mean, nothing's free in life. I mean, everything, there's a cost to it. But my idea is not to become rich with it or anything like that. It's just to help provide some money so I can put into the gas tank so I can keep doing these things, because it is pretty expensive, and I want to provide the best I can and drive a lot of miles, as many as I can in a year. But so it is a subscription based. And I think I'm not sure exactly how, it's somewhere around $6 or $6.99 or something for a month. And then you can also sign up for a little bit cheaper for the year. And so you also get the fall color reports and other little adventures I go on once in a while. I got to get better on that, posting adventures and other like travel stuff on there. But my two main things are the fall color report through the fall, and then the winter snowfall updates. So those are my the main things that people sign up for. And then the other stuff's just a little bit of a bonus. But
yeah, I'm one of the people that are signed up as a supporter for you, and it's been nothing but great. I encourage everybody to go check it out. Do what you feel led to do. I think it's very reasonably priced for the amount of time, effort, energy, and passion you put into it. 100%, man. It's a great resource. And like we talked about back in, I believe it was February, the snow totals in winter, seeing where the snow is, where's, if you want to go do landscape photography in the snow or snowmobilers, that's another big one. And then fall colors, the leaf peepers and everybody that wants to come check out the color. I mean, excellent resource.
Is leaf peeper a good name? Should we call people that love fall colors leaf peepers, or should we? I think that's it's a fun name. We maybe we can come up with a Yooperish name for leaf peepers.
A Yooperish name. I like it.
But yeah, it's a beautiful night here. There's color change happening, and it's looking forward to that date. I'll have an update. August 5th will be the first day here, and that's going to be on a weekly basis. So I try to do them on Mondays. Sometimes it gets on Tuesdays. So between those 2 days, I'll have the report up. Some days I have a tour or something going on one of the on the Monday or something. So sometimes I can't get to it on Tuesday, or I want to go back and check something, place that I wanted to hit up to get into the report. So sometimes I have to go back to a spot so I can get that update because I just wasn't able to make it there. So I leave myself a couple days there, Monday or Tuesdays, when I like to get them out, and it comes right to your inbox. So there's nothing that you have to do. Just make sure that you are checking your junk mailboxes or your spam, because sometimes I've had people say that they're not getting it. So if you're really have things locked down on your email account, make sure that you're looking for, I believe it's Yooper Steve at funintheup.com email, and we can have that listed on the website too. I can say that on the website to make sure you're looking out for that email. But you can also check on Substack. Once you make an account on Substack, you can actually log on to Substack and log right into be able to view I call it the Yooper report. I don't know if I'm going to change the name, but that's what I call it right now. But you can actually go on the app or on the website, funintheup.substack.com, and you can view the report on there as well. So if you think you're not getting the emails and you signed up and you just think you haven't gotten them, go on to the Substack page and make sure you're logged in, and you'll be able to see them, all the reports. And you can view them a lot easier. You can look back. You can actually look back on prior years as well, which is really nice. If you're just waiting for an email, you don't get any of the other posts. But if you go on Substack or you're using the app, you can actually scroll back on the history of other fall color changes and snowfall reports and all that. You can see all the different posts that I made through the years, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, having that access to that historical data and just, having the ability to get a rough idea of what's going to happen, when, where, and being able to plan a trip. That's what it's all about. And, that's what we're all going up there for in October. So it's exciting. Just, I'm ready for it. I'm eager to get up there again and start seeing the change in the color. But, we're going to wrap up summer here and get into fall. And before you know it, we'll be back to winter, but we've got a lot of beauty between then and now. So it's a beautiful part of the country. It's a phenomenal experience at any time of year. And again, I just want to say thank you for providing the fall color report, providing the snow total report, and for doing all this for people. It's huge for planning and getting a trip together. So thank you very much for doing that. And thank you for jumping on another episode with me too.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure and honor to be on your growing podcast here. Really cool. Great to see the progress that you're making, and good to be a part of it along with other cool people. They're great photographers and other people who just love being outside in nature. We have a good little group of everybody growing, and hopefully we'll find some more people and you'll continue this onward for many years, and it'll provide an income for you, and provide a beneficial future ahead of you.
Oh,
You'll have
thank
some
you.
good progress. So,
Yeah.
that's with me. I've been doing this report for 12 years, and sometimes it seems like things aren't going the way that you wanted to or planned, and it's a struggle. But if you enjoy it, you got to keep with it, and it's good to see that progress you've been making. So, pleasure to be on here, and I'll be back anytime you want me.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I certainly appreciate it. And, it's been fun. And we're going to, just like the color report, the snow total, the Yooper report, we're just going to keep this thing rolling, man. And I'm
Cool.
sure we'll have you back again in the future for some more fun updates and exciting discussions. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you.
Another huge thank you to Steve for joining us and providing such a great resource for those looking to get the most out of their time in the Upper Peninsula. As mentioned, the links to the Yooper report and fall color report are included in the show notes below. Make sure you guys head over there, check it out so that you can stay up to date and plan your trip this season. In the next episode, we are going to be joined by Neil Weaver as we discuss some of our favorite tips, tricks, and techniques for getting the most out of our fall color adventures anywhere that you might be. Make sure that you are subscribed and following along so that you can be notified as new episodes become available. For those of you who would like to support the show, check out the Patreon in the links below. As always, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.